Hey, this is Brindlewolf.
And I'm Lunaria.
You're listening to Rise Awakenings, part of the Rise Radio Network where advice meets action.
We're here to spark your growth, lift your spirit, and help you crush your potential.
Rise Awakening, hear the call. Through the static, we break the wall. Your station, your voice where dreams awaken in time. Rise Awakening, now is the time.
Rise Awakenings, let's rise together.
Cards laid bare, shadows collide. Hidden truths in the tide. A spark in the dark, it glows. Illuminate, illuminate. Through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate. The path you seek, the steps you take. Thunder rolls, whispers rise. The deck unfolds, no disguise. Light cracks the veil, it shows. What's unseen now inside? What's unknown now ignite. Illuminate, illuminate. Through the fog, the stars awake. Illuminate, illuminate. The path you seek, the steps you take. Awakening calling, through silence falling. Wisdom crawls through the night.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. I'm so happy to see you all chatting in the chat room already. Heathery, Cindy, Bubble Kittens, Sissy. Welcome, everybody else. And welcome everyone who's listening later on the podcast. We are happy to have you all here. All right, so this is Illuminate. It's time, guys. The reading's a little heavy today, but I will explain to you guys who haven't been here before what we do here. We do a full Celtic cross reading, and we go into detail of the cards, what the symbols mean, what they mean in upright, what they can mean in reverse, the shadows. Good morning, Micah. And then after we do that, we go really in depth into one card. We call that our homework card for the week. Trust or pivot. I don't have a card that says pivot, and I don't know that it came up in anything I wrote last night, so let's hope. But we are carrying on a lot with the wands again today. We had all the wands yesterday, and we have a heavy wand message again today. Go figure. When we finish with that, we will go into anyone in the chat who would like some work for the week from the shadow deck. Let me know, and I will get that for you. So, with all that being said, I am Carrie, or Lunaria, or whatever you want to call me. It is up late for dinner, right? All right. We had a flush. Yeah, we did. We had a royal flush of wands yesterday. All right, let's get started with our Celtic Cross for the week. All right. That's the homework. We don't want to do that one yet. All right, so we are starting off today with the... Why do I have... I did this last week. Or I had the wrong card. What happened is I pulled from one deck and I decided I like the images so much on the other deck that I switched out the cards. I just went through and switched out the cards. I pulled the wrong card. This is supposed to be the Seven of Pentacles. This is actually the Eight of Pentacles card, but the reading was the Seven of Pentacles. I apologize. Anyway, a figure pauses beside a growing bush of pentacles, leaning on their tool while assessing the harvest. This is a card of evaluation, patience, investment, and delayed reward. The energy here is, have all my efforts been worth it? Fatigue from long-term labor, waiting for manifestation. I apologize, my heater just kicked on and I know it's really loud. In fact, you know what? I apologize. I'm going to step over here and turn it off because it is ridiculously loud. And then it'll take it forever to go off too. Okay. I'm so sorry. All right. It is so loud. All right. So let me get back to where we were. All right. So this card is asking, have all my efforts been worth it? This is fatigue from long-term labor, waiting for manifestation, questioning timelines, and wondering if growth is happening fast enough. This card often appears when life feels emotionally suspended. You've planted seeds, watered them, protected them, but now comes the uncomfortable middle stage where results are not fully visible yet. The shadow of the Seven of Pentacles is frustration, impatience, burnout, obsessively checking for progress, comparing your timelines to others, and feeling emotionally disconnected from your own accomplishments. It can also indicate investing energy into situations that no longer nourish you or staying somewhere simply because you already put time into it. Have you considered a pause without quitting? You are being asked to evaluate where your energy goes. Determine what is truly growing. Stop overwatering dead gardens. And recognize that not all growth is visible immediately. This card says, do not abandon the harvest just because you're tired right before it blooms. All right, the crossing energy this week is the Queen of Pentacles. The Queen of Pentacles is grounded abundance. She nurtures while remaining practical. She is emotionally warm but deeply capable. Oh, I can hear again. All right. As a crossing card, she represents balancing care and responsibility. The burden of being the reliable one, needing stability, home, finance, health, work-life balance, and possibly someone embodying these traits affecting the situation. The Queen wants security, but the challenge becomes over-functioning for everyone else. Her shadow side is overgiving, martyrdom, emotional exhaustion, taking care of everyone else but herself, and tying self-worth to her usefulness. This is becoming trapped in survival mode. This card can also represent suppressing emotional needs to maintain appearances of competence. Remember, you do not need to earn the rest. All right. The Queen reminds you, stability is important, but nurturing yourself is not selfish. And constantly carrying everyone else eventually creates resentment and depletion. Ask yourself, what am I maintaining out of obligation? And what would happen if I allowed support in return? All right, so the foundation and the subconscious, we have the Chariot. This is a warrior driving a chariot pulled by opposing sphinxes. The Chariot is discipline, determination, willpower, and controlled momentum. Deep beneath this situation is a fierce desire to succeed, reclaiming control, proving yourself, refusing defeat, survival instincts, and movement after stagnation. This is a warrior energy beneath the surface. The shadow of the Chariot is controlling tendencies, emotional suppression, forcing outcomes, running from feelings through productivity, hyper independence, and needing to win at all costs. The card sometimes appears when someone is spiritually exhausted but refuses to slow down. You cannot spiritually bulldoze your way through every situation. The Chariot asks for aligned movement, not frantic movement. Control without emotional awareness becomes self-abandonment. All right. In our past, why are we saying ouch in the no ouchies in the chat room? All right, so in the past, in the foundation, what is behind you is the Nine of Wands. A wounded figure stands guarded, holding one wand while 8 stand behind him. This is resilience after repeated battles. The recent past shows emotional fatigue, disappointment, betrayal, repeated tests, hypervigilance, and waiting for the next thing to go wrong. You've survived a lot recently, perhaps more than other people even realize. The shadow side of this can be defensive walls, distrust, expecting pain, isolation, difficulty receiving love and support, and emotional exhaustion becoming identity. This card often appears after prolonged stress. Not everyone approaching you is the enemy. The Nine of Wands asks what protections are still necessary and what defenses are now imprisoning you. Survival mode is not meant to become a permanent personality. I told you that this is a little heavy today. So get that out. All right. So in our conscious goal, the potential, we have the devil. This is chains, temptation, attachment, shadow desires, addiction, obsession, fear, and control. The devil is not always evil. Often it reveals what power has power over us. In the conscious position, this card is extremely important. You may be currently recognizing unhealthy attachments, confronting fear-based patterns, seeing toxic dynamics clearly, or wrestling with temptation and emotional dependency. This can involve relationships, money, validation, work addiction, control, lust, fear of failure, or self-sabotaging thought loops. This entire card represents shadow work. Possible manifestations can be staying where you feel trapped, trauma bonds, overworking, escapism, fear masquerading as ambition, and believing you have less power than you do. The chains in the devil card are loose, and that matters. You can remove them. This card asks, what are you feeling that is feeding you? What are you feeding that is feeding you in return? What pattern survives only because you continue consenting to it? And freedom from the change requires radical honesty. Woohoo! All right. In the near future, we have a little bit lighter now, the Page of Wands. The Page of Wands arrives like a spark in dry grass. This is inspiration, new ideas, excitement, creativity, messages, bold opportunities, renewed passion, and adventurous energy. After heavy cards, this feels like spiritual oxygen entering the reading. The shadow side is impulsiveness, inconsistency, unfinished projects, chasing excitement without grounding, and burnout from overenthusiasm. Say yes to curiosity. The Page of Wands wants experimentation, movement, fresh energy, rediscovering joy. This card says you are not done becoming. All right. And the position of yourself and your inner current state, we have the Lovers. And the Lovers is not just romance. It is alignment, sacred choice, vulnerability, and integration. Internally, you are wrestling with choices, emotional truths, alignment between heart and mind, values, authenticity, and relationships, and possibly duality within yourself. This card asks, are you living according to your soul or according to fear? The shadow side is indecision, codependency, people-pleasing, choosing comfort over truth, emotional confusion, and losing yourself in relationship. Choose what aligns, not merely what attaches. The Lover asks for honesty, vulnerability, conscious partnership, and integrity with the self. All right. In our external environment, we have the Knight of Swords. The Knight charges forward aggressively through turbulent skies. Your environment feels fast-moving, mentally intense, chaotic, full of communication, sharp possibilities, urgency, conflict, or strong opinions. Someone around you may be impatient, highly driven, reactive, argumentative, or charging ahead recklessly. The shadow side is impulsive words, emotional detachment, harsh communication, burnout, and acting before thinking. Do not let external chaos dictate internal pace. This card warns against reacting impulsively, is escalating conflict, or getting swept into someone else's storm. Respond with intention. All right. The hopes and fears. We have Mr. Emperor. The Emperor's structure, authority, leadership, discipline, protection, and order. You deeply desire this stability, mastery, respect, control over your own circumstances, and reliable foundations. But you also fear vulnerability, loss of control, chaos, dependence, and emotional exposure. The shadow side is rigidity, dominance, emotional suppression, over control, inability to adapt, and becoming disconnected from softness. Healthy leadership includes emotional intelligence. The Emperor asks, are you building walls or foundations? Control is useful. Control without flexibility becomes isolation. Finally, we have in the outcome our good old friend, the Six of Cups. Children exchange flowers in a nostalgic scene. The card represents emotional healing, innocence, soul connections, reconciliations, nostalgia, inner child healing, heartfelt memories, and emotional sincerity. After such intense energy, this outcome is surprisingly soft. This suggests, my S's today. This suggests returning to authenticity, reconnecting with joy, emotional healing after hardship, revisiting the past with wisdom, and softer emotional experiences entering your life. This can also indicate soul family connections, reunions, healing old wounds, creative inspiration rooted in childhood passions, or remembering who you were before survival mode controlled everything. The shadow side is living in the past, romanticizing what hurt you, emotional stagnation, and avoidance of present reality. Healing is not becoming someone new, it is remembering who you were before fear convinced you otherwise. The Six of Cups says softness is not weakness. Innocence can coexist with wisdom, and joy is sacred medicine. This spread tells the story of someone who has fought hard, carried immense responsibility, endured exhaustion, and kept pushing forward through sheer willpower. But now the deeper lesson emerges. You are being asked to stop building your life entirely from survival instincts. The Devil, the Chariot, the Emperor combination in this reveals control patterns, pressure to succeed, fear of vulnerability, attachment to responsibility, and exhaustion hidden beneath competence. Meanwhile, the Lovers asks for alignment. The Page asks for renewed passion, and the Six of Cups asks for emotional reconnection. This is a transformation from I must survive into I do deserve to live. There's major healing around self-worth, emotional openness, allowing joy, and redefining success beyond constant struggle. This spread feels like a powerful collision between long-term growth, control, temptation, and emotional history, and the need to consciously choose your direction moving forward. There's heavy earth energy here in the Pentacles and the Emperor, which speaks of stability, work, survival, money, and physical reality. But it's being challenged and accelerated by intense major and arcana cards that are demanding spiritual evolution, and they're demanding it now. This is not a small week reading. This is one of those crossroad readings where the soul is being asked, what are you building, and what hidden forces are influencing why you're building it? There's a strong theme of exhaustion after long effort, reclaiming personal authority, releasing toxic attachments, balancing heart and ambition, and reconnecting with authenticity rather than performance. This spread feels like someone nearing a breakthrough while simultaneously confronting the shadow patterns that could sabotage it. The outcome is beautiful because it does not end in domination or conquest. It ends in emotional sincerity. And honestly, after everything shown in this spread, that may be the greatest victory of all. And that's all with that very heavy reading for today. All right, just check it in here in the chat. I have a hard time with my S's every day. Oh, good. Yeah, I'm tripping over my tongue this morning. But so far, at least I haven't had, I shouldn't even say it, but no throat chakra problems this week. All right, that was intense, but so in line with everything from yesterday and this week. Once again, we can't make this shit up. All right, and another card that we've talked about a few times this week is our big card for the day. This one's interesting to me today. All right, so this is the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is victory, recognition, validation, leadership, and the dangerous seduction of applause. I'm not going to hold it through the whole time, so you guys know the Six of Wands. The Six of Wands is often called the victory card, but reducing it to simple success barely scratches the surface of what this card truly represents. This card is not just about winning. Okay, I got you, Diane. Diane, Miss Rev D's here. All right. This card is not just about winning. It is about being seen winning, surviving long enough to emerge publicly from battle, recognition after struggle, the psychology of achievement, external validation, earned confidence, leadership, influence, reputation, and the complicated emotional experience of finally receiving acknowledgement. A Six of Wands shows up every time you're present. That's funny. All right. The Six of Wands is the moment after conflict where someone rides back into the city and people finally understand what it was that they survived. But hidden beneath the celebration is a very important spiritual question. Who are you when the applause fades? In most decks, a rider sits atop a horse carrying a wand crowned with a laurel wreath. Crowds gather around them in admiration and celebration. Every symbol matters here. The horse represents momentum, power, movement, and instinct directed towards purpose. Unlike the wild force of the chariot's creatures, this horse appears controlled and cooperative. This is disciplined confidence. The rider has learned how to direct their energy rather than merely react emotionally. The wreath symbolizes victory, honor, achievement, earned recognition, and public acknowledgement. In ancient cultures, laurel crowns were awarded to champions, poets, leaders, and heroes. This matters because the Six of Wands often points toward public success, social approval, visibility, influence, and reputation building. This is not private fulfillment. This is success that people can see. This is one of the most socially aware cards in the tarot. The crown represents the community, witnesses, social validation, audience energy, support systems, followers, praise, and collective recognition. This card understands something deeply human. Being acknowledged changes people, for better or for the worse. At its healthiest, this card represents success after struggle, earned confidence, recognition, validation, personal pride, momentum, and finally being appreciated. This is the promotion, the breakthrough, the standing ovation, the successful launch, and the healed self finally realizing their worth. The Six of Wands says people see your effort now. So this card often appears in the emotional psychology of this card. It often appears after a period of feeling invisible, rejection, criticism, self-doubt, being underestimated, and feeling unseen. The emotional release here is profound, because recognition does not just soothe the ego. Sometimes it heals wounds connected to worthiness, abandonment, neglect, inadequacy, humiliation, and failure. This card can indicate someone finally receiving the love they deserved, the acknowledgement they earned, the respect they fought for, and the credit they were denied. But this creates a spiritual danger too, because once external validation arrives, it can become addictive. The shadow side of the Six of Wands is very important, and many people miss it because the card looks so positive. The shadow side includes ego inflation, arrogance, superiority complexes, needing constant praise, validation addiction, performative success, false confidence, image obsession, and tying self-worth to audience approval. This is the person who only feels valuable when admired. The person who becomes dependent on applause to feel real, and the person who starts performing authentically instead of living it. The fear hidden inside, this is the the fear hidden inside of the head. All right, it's catching up to me now. The fear hidden inside of the Six of Wands is ironically that the card can hide deep insecurity. Why? Because public success creates pressure to maintain the image, keep winning, stay admired, and avoid failure publicly. You have to continue proving your worth. The Six of Wands can secretly fear humiliation, losing status, disappointing others, becoming irrelevant, and criticism after success. Sometimes this card appears when someone is exhausted from carrying the identity of the strong one, the successful one, or the inspirational one. Spiritually, the Six of Wands asks, can you receive recognition without being consumed by it? This card teaches healthy confidence, self-respect, balanced pride, and leadership without ego domination. It reminds us there is nothing wrong with being celebrated. The issue arises when applause becomes identity. Achievement replaces self-worth, and admiration replaces authentic connection. True victory is internal first. External success should mirror inner alignment, not replace it. In relationships, this card can indicate admiration, pride in one another, public commitment, feeling chosen, confidence returning after heartbreak, and relationships gaining approval or visibility. This is often a power couple, someone proudly claiming the relationship and emotional reassurance. It can also indicate reconciliation after hardship and finally feeling emotionally appreciated. The shadow can become needing validation from the relationship, showing off the relationship for appearance's sake, ego battles, one partner needing admiration constantly, competition inside the relationship, and caring more about how the relationship looks than how it feels. This card may ask, do you want love or do you want to feel admired? In career and creativity, this is one of the strongest success cards in the tarot deck. It often points toward recognition, promotions, successful launches, audience growth, career advancement, and leadership roles. For creators, this card screams visibility, engagement, audience support, momentum, successful branding, and becoming known for your work. But again, the shadow matters. The card warns against burnout from maintaining visibility, creating for approval instead of passion, tying numbers to worth, and becoming trapped by audience expectations. The Six of Wands in leadership roles is connected to energy, but not all leadership is healthy. Healthy Six of Wands leadership inspires others, uplifts communities, shares success, remains humble, and empowers people. Unhealthy leadership craves worship, demands admiration, fears criticism, builds identity through superiority, and becomes performative. The card asks, are you leading from confidence or compensation? When reversed, the Six of Wands can indicate lack of recognition, insecurity, public embarrassment, self-doubt, validation withdrawal, imposter syndrome, and invisible accomplishments. Sometimes it represents succeeding externally while feeling empty internally, or chasing approval that never truly satisfies. The reversal asks, can you validate yourself without waiting for applause? In numerology, in tarot, sixes represent harmony, balance, integration, healing, and healing after conflict. The Five of Wands before this card represents chaos, competition, and struggle. The Six of Wands emerges afterward. It's a card of revolution after the battle. Resolution, did I say revolution? Resolution after the battle. Confidence after challenge. Identity strengthened through adversity, and knowing that victory means more when it was difficult to achieve. The element is energy. Wands equal fire. Fire rules passion, identity, creativity, ambition, confidence, and purpose. The Six of Wands is controlled by that fire, not explosive, not chaotic. This is directed confidence. The flame has learned discipline. It asks you to accept your victories. Stop minimizing your growth, your effort, your accomplishments, your resilience. You are allowed to feel proud, enjoy success, receive praise, and celebrate progress, but simultaneously stay rooted in authenticity. Do not become dependent on applause, metrics, followers, praise, and external approval. The most stable confidence says, I know who I am, even in silence. Ask yourself, what does success actually mean to me? And are you seeking fulfillment or validation? Do you believe your worth exists without performance? The Six of Wands is one of the most human cards in the tarot deck because nearly everyone wants to matter, to be seen, to be appreciated, and to know their efforts meant something. This card honors that desire. It says your perseverance is visible now, but it also gently warns that recognition is beautiful, applause is fleeting, authenticity is eternal. The healthiest form of victory is not domination over others. It is becoming someone who no longer needs constant proof that of their worth in order to believe in themselves. The end. I felt like that was an entire story. That one hit me really hard this morning because it's like it feels like it fell in a time where we're trying to build the radio station or the network and the shows and the website and the merchandise, and we got all this stuff going, and there's a constant pull. We got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do this, we got to do that. And then at the same time, a lot of us right now struggling with our identities and with the things that we're going through, and the battles inside. And then something hit me yesterday before I even pulled that card. I was outside talking to my neighbors. We were just sitting around. We were having a great conversation, laughing, just talking about all kinds of stuff. Well, I finally realized that part of what we were laughing about, or laughing in general, was my humor, and my humor being self-deprecating humor. And I'm thinking afterwards, shame on you. Here you are telling everybody to stop that. Stop that. We tell you guys all the time, don't do that to yourselves. That is one of the biggest problems that we have, is how we talk to ourselves. And I didn't realize just how much I was doing that until about the third time I made a self-deprecating joke. He actually said to me, Carrie, you need to stop doing that to yourself. The coach being coached. We all do it. But it's part of what's keeping us stuck. What we tell ourselves matters. When we say it out loud, it just puts it out there in the universe that this is who I think I am. And this is who now I'm actually giving you the permission to treat me as such, because I just told you that's who I am. And am I going to fight it? No, I'm the one who said it. Yeah, they're talking about that on the Bloom on Monday, or Rev D is going to talk about that Monday on the Bloom. Self-sabotage. It's just see how everything comes up around here in a full circle, and it just keeps playing in one thing, playing into another. It's crazy. But yeah, make sure you pay attention to the Bloom on Monday. I know I will, because the self-sabotage is a bad thing. And and what I thought about this morning when I was thinking about what happened yesterday was, what are you doing that for? Is it because you truly feel that way? Number one. And if you do, why? What got you to that point? Where, who, what, when, where, what situation got you to a point of feeling that way? And when you try to find that, and you've got to reshape that. If someone else's bullshit has been placed upon you, and this is who you are, this is what you're supposed to be, this is what we expect of you, stop. You don't have to be who everyone else wants you to be. You have to be who you are inside. Are you being authentic to yourself if you're deprecating yourself and telling the neighbors that you're this, that, the other, whatever? And how do you expect them to treat you if that's the way you feel about yourself? How do you expect relationships to go well and be treated well, and within those relationships, if you're treating your own self poorly? You teach people how to treat you by how you treat yourself. And I know that I haven't been treating myself very well for a very long time. Is it, or there's there's another reason. Are you saying that because you're fishing for compliments? Do you really not feel that way, but you're just looking for a compliment? Or are you stuck in that victim mentality where this is how you get your attention because that's what you knew? AKA says, I've had so much negativity in my life, it's hard to read that. I'm trying to find a way to and so I understand. Apparently I'm there myself. I sat there yesterday and had to kick myself after 3 times, and I know I'm not going to punish myself for it because I'm glad it happened. I learned something. I realized I'm not there yet. I'm not ready to get into a relationship with somebody else at this point. I haven't found the relationship within myself yet. I'm still talking shit about myself to other people. Then obviously I haven't found that strength inside myself yet to be ready to go out. I do that too, where I make fun of myself so others don't, and we all laugh. Yeah, it's like I'm gonna say this before you say it. And the fishing for compliments, we do that. Ooh, Papa caught that universal static. I'm stuck in that victim mentality. I'm coming out of it, but I've had to fight for it. I'm there with you. I understand that victim mentality. It wasn't until this, last 6 months of me going through a lot of the spiritual journey that I've been going through that I realized that I've been playing the victim my whole life. I even traced most of my stuff back to one silly little incident when I was, I think, like, I don't know, 18 months old, where I fell and cut my eye. I have a little scar beside my eye. Fell down the stairs and cut my eye. And I really think that being rushed to the hospital and taken care of and all that stuff, I found out in that one little act or that one incident that happened, if I'm hurt and sad and crying and in pain and all of those things, I get that attention and that affection that I've been craving so bad, that I'm looking for. And at that little age of that little bitty thing, I think that is when my start of playing victim kicked in. I was seeking the love, the attention, the affection that I didn't feel like I was getting, but I got it when I was hurt. And I went, ooh, here we go. And I've been doing it ever since. Let's see. So Rev D. Oh, I gotta go back a little ways. You guys have been chatty this morning. Okay, we got that one. I don't mean to fish for compliments. Then I notice after, and I feel I do too. I'm not really fishing for compliments, or I know in my case I'm not, but there have been times that I have. But when then you do it, but you realize that they probably think that you're fishing for compliments, and then you're worried about what they think, and the whole thing just goes in a loop in your head. There's also, are you doing that also because there's, the one thing that I didn't touch on is, are you doing that because you've been taught your whole life that you can't say anything good about yourself or you're bragging? Or you can't say anything positive about something that you've done or you're bragging. So what you're doing instead is being the opposite of honest because you don't want to sound conceited. That's such a bunch of bullshit. Rev D says self-sabotage sneaks up in strange ways. It does. Very strange ways. I'm just learning why people always said I act out of victim mentality and that I've been prideful. See, I didn't really know. I had heard the word victim mentality for a very long time. I didn't really place it with myself until recently. And I didn't, because I didn't know why I was doing it either. It took me a long time to figure out why I did it in the first place. And once I figured out where it came from and why, and how the actual attention seeking and stuff like that started, then it started to make sense. Now it's like easier to put it aside and be like, okay, that's the past. That is not even a me that I even remember anything about anymore. I don't, that it's gone. It's stories, it's pages in a book. So we can move on now. I'm glad I figured out where it all came from. Now I know why I do some of the reacts, some of the ways I do, and all that kind of stuff. But now I can set that aside. Micah says universal cassette film phrase, the more we stay where we are and repeating the same stories. Rev D says you get attention because of neglectful parents. Yeah, it makes sense. It comes from neglect and abandonment. You just want to feel seen, not fishing. Yes. That part. Okay. Well, that part carried that. Remind me what it was. I'm totally confused. I wish I could read and talk to you guys at the same time. I'm terrible at it. I'm dealing with tornado thought. Yeah. It sucks because I was programmed and I want to break that programming. What they saw as victimizing, I saw as just stating my past to relate other. Exactly. That is exactly Bubble Kittens. That's exactly what I would do. And I would do it so quickly into the relationship. Like first date, I'd be sharing information about some of the horrible things that have happened to me in my past, feeling like if they know, I think there was a couple objectives to it, and I don't feel like it was actually thought out. It was, subconsciously, unconsciously. I was doing it because, one, I felt like if they saw how hurt I had been in the past, they would feel bad enough that they wouldn't want to do that to me, so they wouldn't then turn around and do the same thing. And two, because they're going to be like, oh, she needs somebody to love her and care for her. And that's what I'm going to, because you're looking for somebody to rescue you from all that stuff. The problem is that you haven't rescued yourself yet. Let's see. I'm going back to the chat for a minute. I'm dealing with sucks. Yeah, okay. Break, and you can't break through the framing. We are deeply conditioned to be silent, swept under the rug, and get shamed for speaking, called victim and brag, etc. I want to break those chains, as I wrote in one song. Yes, it is definitely time to break those chains. I mean, they started a long, long, long time ago. I mean, something had to have occurred early on for me to know that at 18 months or 2 years old that I was ready to, that I needed to play hurt or something in order to get attention. I don't think I've shared this with you guys before. This is pretty deep. And honestly, I probably didn't, because prior to now it was kind of embarrassing. But I have gone so far as in my early teens, in middle school, I actually took a hammer from my dad's workbench and beat the top of my hand with the hammer. And I don't mean just, no, I beat the living shit out of the top of my hand with a hammer so that I could go to the hospital, so that I could get somebody to hear me, see me, to know that I needed something. I did other things, and there was another one that was really were the same thing with a hammer, where I beat my ankle with a hammer and claimed I fell down the stairs. That was later teen years. Because you learn, that's how I'm going to get it. That's how I'm going to get somebody to pay attention to me. And I realize that I've done that in relationships, over dramatized illnesses, over dramatized things that were going on, whatever, because say if they were starting to back away from me, and I could feel them backing away, I'd suddenly be sick. and need them again. And then that would pull them back in. But that them coming in to help take care of you because you're sick or something, that's concern, that's caring. That's not necessarily love. That doesn't make them your person. And besides that, you just manipulated them into the situation. It's not authentic. That is not a real connection and real love if you are having to use other things to pull somebody to you. And it's never going to last. It's going to make it harder to walk away from later. We've got to start taking care of ourselves on the inside, figuring out where this stuff comes from and deal with it and let it go so that we can move into a phase where we are healthy. Rev D said, we are deeply conditioned to be silenced. Okay, I read that one, yeah. And we seek more neglect as an adult because we feel uncomfortable with someone paying attention to us genuinely. Bubblekin said, I did the opposite. I looked for people to take care of and to focus on, so I didn't focus on my own crap. But that's the funny thing is that I typically in that situation, if I just draw back on the last couple of relationships that I can draw back on and look at, I was doing both. I was way overgiving. So I'm already like wearing myself ragged, overgiving, and trying to take care of them and trying to comfort them and trying to fix whatever they needed in their life, that I genuinely was wearing myself down to illness. But yeah, that's those connections. Yeah, Rev D says she did the same thing. It's hard. Yeah, when you're overgiving, and then I think a lot of times we overgive and overgive, and then like I was saying to that point where when you start to feel them pulling away, you've been doing all this giving and you're completely exhausted from it, and you feel them start to pull away. You gotta do something quick. I gotta save this. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna get in a car accident. That was horrible thing. But I've known of people who do that, get in a car accident and then immediately, I got in a car accident, because then they're like concerned, and then they jump in, and you mistake that concern for love. You want somebody who loves you because they love you, and the real you, the authentic you. Oh, I've had people taking care of me most of my life because of physical, mental health, that I have never learned to take care of myself because everybody did things for me. That, that I've noticed that can happen not only in that case, but I've noticed that a lot of times, like my brother, or the young men in, the young son, the last son, the baby boy, people take care of them to the point that they can't take care of themselves, and they get into a marriage or something, and then they go, I was told in the last marriage I didn't need him enough, that I was too independent and not girly enough. And he said it so long that I changed myself for trouble. Yeah. But we can't do that. We can't change. If somebody asks you to change who you are, then they're not loving the authentic you. It's not fair. We can't ask other people to change for us, and people can't be expecting us to change for them. Yes, we all change, and we work on our relationships. We do little things, but at our core, our authentic selves and who we are, we need to be able to be loved unconditionally in that authentic self, without somebody telling you how you need to be. I know we got risers coming up. I'm going to get to the shadow cards. This has been a heavy message all week long. It's really time for us to start taking care of ourselves and not really expecting other people to do it because they can't do it in the same way that we can do it. They don't understand us the way we understand us. Nobody can. They didn't live our lives. Woo! Oh. Okay. Well, I got Rev D's card. Anybody else wants one? I'll get Micah one too because he may be in the shower. And all right, Rev D. Grief is painful and an ongoing process, and it's common to repress feelings of loss into the shadow. You hide difficult feelings to manage, but integrating grief is freeing. What grief may you still be carrying with you? And how has your loss changed how you interact with the world around you? Okay. So, next up, Micah. Mr. Micah. For many people, confrontation brings up negative feelings, but confrontation is also a way to get closer to a resolution and move forward, albeit in an often uncomfortable way. When you think of confrontation, what feelings or stories from your personal history come up for you? How do those feelings impact your ability or willingness to confront someone who has wronged you? All right, let me see. Hathery. The ruler is a symbolic figure who prioritizes absolute control and power over all else, sometimes to compensate for fears and shadow beliefs of inferiority. What is your relationship to power and authority? How has your shadow influenced your relationship to embracing leadership and greater control in your own life? Cindy. Displacement is a defense mechanism in which you place feelings onto a less threatening object for temporary relief. Instead of yelling at your boss, you yell at your dog, for example. When have you displaced your feelings? Who was the more deserving target, and what kept you from sharing your feelings with them? Cindy, Bubble Kittens. Bubble Kittens. Many cultures prioritize humility, making it this is great. Can't make this shit up. Many cultures prioritize humility, making acknowledging one's own success difficult and making pride worthy of shadow repression. But pride doesn't have to be harmful. Honor your wins. What personal accomplishment or goal can you try reveling in for this moment? What did reaching this goal mean for you? She says her brain's too bored. Cash, I felt rejected because people said, love yourself first. I was like, what? Don't you want it? I already did. Yeah. All right. Currently, the financial abuse, more grief there. Yeah. Why I'm not seeing Repties? I'm so confused. Was trying to send a message on the website that I had enough of a slap for the sake of the wall. If you have enough energy for it, I will. Okay, cash. All right. Every person struggles with self-conscious thoughts or feelings from time to time. Most often you keep traits you are insecure about hidden from others and sometimes even from yourself as a shadow material. What traits do you feel self-conscious about? When and how did this insecurity first develop for you? Ooh, everybody's getting some slapping today. All right, so I think I'm... All right, AKA Sheila. All right. The shadow can make it difficult to accept your darker side, but also the brighter qualities that others may see within you. What was the last compliment someone gave you that you had a hard time acknowledging? Okay, I'm getting weirded out now. What thoughts or beliefs may be influencing your ability to accept this feedback? Can't make this shit up, man. All right, let's pull mine before it gets... Cultures and societies also have within them minimized and unhealed parts. This is known as the collective shadow. What are some thoughts or beliefs potentially represented by the shadow in your culture? Are there sub-communities that illuminate the presence of shadow material? What is the mainstream response to these subgroups? Wow. Okay, well, that was an interesting morning. All right, so last but not least, our meditation for the week. May you know intention. May you know the importance of your intentions. Set intentions for your day and for your life. Ways of being that you want to nourish and manifest. Intentions recognize a way of being that you want to cultivate in your life. They represent a way of being that honors your highest self and moves you in the direction of your greatest good. Your intentions are unique to you and have the power to create the life that you want to live. All right, guys. That is the end of the card slapping for today. Guys, head on over to Risers. If you're in Risers of Flight, you know it's almost time for you. Tonight, Voices on the Rise. I'm going to do this quick because we've got so much coming up and new stuff and this happening and that happening and everything else that I can't keep it all straight anymore and name it all out. So I'm just going to give you there in the corner up there, the Embers of Light QR code. Click on that. Everything from the and this, let me show that one. That is that the right one? Okay, no, just go with that one. Embers of Light, everything's there. Show times, show schedules, DJs information, bios, everything's there. Tonight, Voices on the Rise with Hathery. Tomorrow, I think at 6 p.m. Tomorrow, 6 p.m. I'm defining your character. Everything else is up there. Define maybe a different time this week. Anyway, it'll be there. Find it there. I can't keep up with everything going on. I love you guys so much. Have a great weekend. We will see you next week. And be good to yourselves. Love yourselves. It's time. I love you guys. Have a great week.
What's unseen now inside? What's unknown now ignite? Illuminate, illuminate through the fog, the stars away. Illuminate, illuminate the path you seek, the steps you take. Awakening, calling through silence, falling. Wisdom crawls through the night.
Who knew that the Messengers, a singular vision between Brindlewolf and Lunaria, would turn into Rise Radio, radio inspiring singers everywhere? And not too long after that, Rise Awakenings would come onto the scene to bring you shows of inspiration, spiritual uplift, and heightened awareness. And together they formed the Rise Radio Networks. And just like the phoenix rising from the ashes, we have a new home on the web called Embers of Light. Come and check it out.